which later can be submitted to Mr. President to assent on this bill. And I hope and believe Mr. President will sign this bill for it to take effect. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you all.
This is the closest the nation has come to the passage of the long overdue National Electoral Offences Commission Bill into law. I hope in the next few months the National Assembly will pass the bill so that it will not suffer the fate of previous efforts which were incoherent at the end of the lifespan of the Assembly. The bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission is a critical legislation. It has been part of all national conversations on constitutional and electoral reforms in the last 13 years. The Justice Mohammed Uwais Committee on Electoral Reforms recommended it in 2009, echoed by the Sheikh Ahmed Lemu Committee following the post-election violence in 2011, and most recently by the Ken Namani Committee on Constitutional and Electoral Reform in 2017. Similar recommendations are contained in reports of police investigations, INEC administrative inquiries, court judgments, reports by the National Human Rights Commission, as well as several accredited election observers. It is clear that the reform of our electoral process cannot be complete without effective sanctions on violators of our laws. At present, INEC is saddled with the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offenders under the Electoral Act. This has been very challenging for the Commission. For instance, since the 2015 general election, 125 cases of electoral offenses were filed in various courts, out of which 60 convictions have so far been secured, including the most recent one in Akwa Ibom State. The Commission would like to see more successful prosecution of offenders, not just ballot box snatchers, falsifiers of election results and vote buyers at polling units, but most importantly, their sponsors. We look forward to the day when highly placed sponsors of thuggery, including high-profile figures that seek to benefit from these violations, are arrested and prosecuted. We believe that the work of the proposed commission will help in this regard. The ballot box snatcher is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. The person who gives money at the polling unit is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. And these shenanigans will not stop until we get to their sponsors, the high-profile sponsors of these violations, and make an example out of them. However, much as the Commission would like to see more successful prosecution of offenders, our effort is hampered by obvious constraints. INEC is basically an electoral commission with extensive responsibilities, which include the registration and regulation of political parties, including the monitoring of party and campaign finance, as well as their primaries, congresses, meetings, and conventions. The nationwide continuous voter registration and the maintenance of the National Register of Voters. INEC has the largest database of citizens in Nigeria and the largest database of citizens in Africa. 84 million, likely to cross over 90 million by the 2023 general elections. We are saddled with the responsibility of creating polling units, delimitation of electoral constituencies, voter education and publicity, management of electoral logistics, recruitment, training and deployment of election duty officials, conduct of numerous off-cycle and by-elections, new innovations to promote inclusivity and electoral integrity, election security in consultation with the security agencies, strategic engagement with stakeholders, formulation of regulations, guidelines, and manuals for the conduct of elections and electoral activities to give clarity to the provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Act, and the maintenance of extensive physical assets, offices, residential accommodation, and other facilities nationwide. At present, the Commission maintains almost 1,000 buildings. We have offices in all the 774 local government areas. We have the state offices, the residential accommodation, the headquarters in Abuja, the electoral institute, the disaster recovery centers. It's just so extensive, the responsibilities that we handle. In many jurisdictions, even within Africa, many committees. Now, for those who argue that the solution